Okay, prior video I was complaining, not really complaining, because it's always fun. Every time I go do infrared photography in the graveyard, I always capture a ghost in one of my pictures, and I'm dead serious about that. But regarding filters, there's some things you can't do in Photoshop. Like I said, infrared photography is really easy. I haven't done any for the past 6 months, but I always do it with my Nikon D700 because it's good for infrared photography. But I've had my Nikon D750, and each camera is different as far as its infrared sensitivity, and you have to test that. And so I'd confirmed last week that the Nikon D750, contrary to the idiot that wrote the book on the Nikon D750, he said, oh, the Nikon D750 is a poor infrared camera. Well, I've already tried it in the 590 nanometer infrared spectrum range, and this is a 720 nanometer infrared spectrum range, the Hoya 72 infrared filter. And the guy is full of crap. It just reminds me of someone else that is really famous for doing a lot of lens reviews online, and I know he doesn't really review, actually puts hands on the stuff to review it, and that's what burns my ass. Is anything worse than a bad review? It's one that's completely falsified. You know, it's just like you just make crap up to do a review to drive traffic to your site. Whatever. Anyway, there's some things you can't do. The main point of this video, which I'm getting to right now, yeah, I talk too damn much, I gotta get out of the graveyard before they close the gates on me, is that you can't do everything in Photoshop, and some things you need a filter for, and filters add moods. You know, I'll give you some links to some shots below I took today, including the ghost picture that I caught, and I always capture, pretty much always, every time I go out with an infrared filter in a graveyard. I love doing infrared photography in a graveyard because it's a spooky, eerie, surrealistic picture, and what better place for a spooky, surrealistic picture as far as what infrared produces than going to the graveyard. And that's why I take the infrared filter out here, not to capture ghosts, but just to capture the mood. So, you know, this sort of stuff cannot be done in Photoshop. Well, you almost can, but you really, you got to sit there and, you know, forget about it. Just toss the filter on and do it, and then color correct and post. So anyway, talking about filtration, you know, capturing the mood, think about what it is you're shooting. I mean, maybe shooting a portraiture shot out somewhere, and it's a crappy scene, but if you're actually to blur your eyes, you see the background is perfect for the portraiture, you don't have a great place to shoot, well, why not use the diffuser? I mean, it's not, you know, not everything can be done in Photoshop. Most things can be, but when you can do it, it takes up a lot of time. Traditional filters are still worthwhile, nowhere near, obviously, as much as they used to be, but you know, just think out of the box. You know, where, you know, like I'm thinking, you know, where would this filter be good? Or I'm right here, does this thing command a better composition if I were to use a specific filter? So always be thinking about that. You always got to be pre-planning your shot. If you're just out taking pictures instead of making pictures, you know, then you're just a shutterbug, and you know, you're a point-and-shoot artist with a fancy, expensive DSLR, and you know, you could be doing the same thing with a point-and-shoot. You know, your ultimate goal was obviously improve your photographic skills, so start thinking about actually making pictures instead of creating them, and part of that obviously is your compositional skills, but also thinking about filtration. There's just a lot of stuff to think about, but once you can actually make that intuitive in your head, you don't really have to think about it, then things start to get a lot fun. You can start enjoying your photography up to the point where you actually have a bunch of paid gigs and people are complaining about the prices or the fees on something, but that's something else altogether. That's when you actually destroy your hobby by making it a full-time business. So that's why these people become corporate shills for phony and other people, is because they're tired of, you know, listening to complaining customers, even though their photography is great. You know, that's where the money's at, and then you can go shoot whatever the hell you want. That's a perfect gig. That's why people, you know, gravitate towards becoming corporate shills. So anyway, I rambled on. What the hell ever. You got the point. I got to get out of the graveyard before they shut the gates on me in here with all the dead critters. Oh hell, I only got 15 minutes to get out.